And welcome back to Ozarks Live. It's my favorite part of the week, Joy's Book Club. And here to join me is Conrad Stump from the Springfield Greene County Library. Great to have you here.
Yeah, great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, I was on the library's website earlier. Yeah. You guys have like a cooking class or something tomorrow. You have bingo. You have all sorts of learning opportunities.
We have a ton of great things going on. Lots of virtual programming. So if you visit thelibrary.org, there's a great bar that will have a bunch of slides of all our different programs that are going on, and you can find out more information about them. So yeah, even in the age of COVID-19, we're still doing lots of great stuff.
Yeah, I think I saw Joe from Cafe Cusco and Van Gogh's is doing some kind of cooking thing tomorrow.
The library is full of fun things.
The library's great. It's full of stuff. All right, we have got some books today that Conrad brought us, and there's kind of a history theme going on here.
That's right.
The first one is You Never Forget Your First by Alexis Coe.
Yeah, Alexis Coe. So this is really interesting because, you know, there's this perception that history is boring, but Alexis Coe said something that I found really interesting, which is if history is boring, it's the historian's fault, right? So a lot of times it's how the story is being told that can seem boring. And so what sets this biography of Washington apart is that it's the first written by a woman in over 40 years.
Oh, wow.
And it's only the third ever written by a woman. And so you can kind of tell by the title and the cover image that it's kind of fun. There are lots of interesting listicles and sidebars, and Coe not only kind of tackles some of the myths that exist about Washington, but she talks about, you know, kind of the way that male biographers can tend to romanticize Washington, right? So she calls these male biographers the thigh men of dad history.
Oh, really?
Because she noticed that they were particularly interested with Washington's physical prowess and his powerful thighs.
I learned something new here. I never thought about that. But this is something you feel like you spend time well on because you learned something you really didn't know.
Yeah, it's just kind of a fun way to view Washington through a different perspective, right? We don't often get him from a woman's perspective, and you know, they might see different things than a male biography would see. So
exactly. All right, the next one, The Smell of Battle, The Taste of Siege, A Sensory History of the Civil War by Mark M. Smith.
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
It's super interesting. What I love about this book is that it kind of brings history to life by connecting what otherwise might be a list of sort of dates and deeds with the 5 senses of the human body. And sort of how people actually experienced the Civil War.
Really?
Yeah, so it all focuses on sort of things you can connect with because it's related to the senses. And instead of writing this sort of magnum opus on the war, Smith just focuses on 5 events that correspond with each of the 5 senses. So there's sort of like the shocking sound of, you know, bullets that signal the start of the war, and then there's the stench of death that sort of lingered after the Battle of Gettysburg. There's starvation that accompanied the siege of Vicksburg, and so it just sort of makes you kind of feel what these people experienced, and it really hits home how overwhelming to the senses the war was for everyone.
Talk about a whole new perspective on that. I think Tom's probably over here taking notes going, I got to get my hands on all of these. Okay, we got one more, A Black Women's History of the United States.
Yeah, so this is a great book because, right, the American history that we learn is often based on who gets to tell the story, what stories are being told, and it's usually white men writing about other white men. So Beacon Press, which is who published this, has been doing a lot of great books like An Indigenous Peoples History of the United States, A Queer History of the United States, and this book. And so the authors really highlight how Black women have been shaping American history since the colonial days, but how those stories don't often get put into the history books. So they cover everything from like the first Black woman to arrive in North America, to women's Army Corps workers during World War II, to pioneering political figures like Shirley Chisholm. And so they just give this great overview of the unique contributions that Black women have made to American history. So they're all kind of just different ways to view history.
Just so interesting, the way you can grab onto a good book and just lose yourself in it. What an escape, what a way to relax, and what a way to learn something from a point of view you may never have heard before. And again, It's the library, you guys. All you got to do is check it out, and they don't charge you anything unless you're late bringing it back. So tell everybody, thelibrary.org.
Yes, thelibrary.org. You can view our catalog, see what we have. You can view our programs that we have going on. You can view different book lists that our librarians have put together. There's tons of great stuff on there. We have a fantastic local history page with a lot of databases that we subscribe to that you can use from home with your library card. So go to thelibrary.org. You will find tons of stuff to fill your day and sort of get through those cold winter months.
It's great stuff and perfect for a day like today.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Conrad.
Yeah,
Good to